Hello folks, Dr. Paul here, and I'm providing a video summary here for Unit 8. And in this unit, we talked about emotionally focused therapy, which is a very popular model of therapy these days. And I would encourage you to read the original works of Sue Johnson if you are interested in this model. Obviously, it privileges emotions, and for some people that makes a lot of sense. For other people, the focus on emotions um, is somewhat narrow and limiting. And so I think there are some good aspects of this model in that um, it works with couples dynamics, and it talks about being a non-pathological perspective and basically looking at people as healthy. At the same time, it's sort of contradictory, because it does talk about people having dysfunctional patterns of interaction and pathological attachments. So a little bit of contradiction there. A lot of people gravitate toward EFT. It can be powerful to sit with a couple and hold an emotional space for them while they work through some challenging issues and connect with each other. But I want to shift gears because this semester is a little bit unusual in that I have another week of travel, which is strange for me. I usually don't travel at all, or maybe one time to residency during the semester, which I already did. And I'm traveling to Austin today to the American Association for Marriage and Family Therapy annual conference, where I am presenting with a colleague of mine on alternate relationship paradigms. And I just wanted to shift gears from EFT and share with you a little bit about what we're going to be presenting on. We're starting off with two very positive quotes about marriage because we are going to be challenging some assumptions about marriage and making a case that as family therapists, marriage and family therapists, we should have a voice in shaping the cultural discourse about marriage. And so I just wanted to share some thoughts with you about that presentation. So the overview of the presentation is basically, we first start off by talking about shifting paradigms in marriage and family therapy. And basically, the shift from individual pathology before family therapy to seeing symptoms as more of contextually bound, or seeing symptoms as more of an interaction, was a huge paradigm shift in mental health. So marriage and family therapists are no strangers to paradigm shifts. And then we talk about some other paradigm shifts that the field has lived through. For example, the feminist critique of family therapy basically said that as family therapists we should be more informed about power dynamics and gender roles, and how we have a male-dominated culture, and how can we have a voice in the work that we do to relieve some of the oppression on women in our culture. And so that was one of the paradigm shifts. Another one is the shift to be more inclusive of context, culture, and diversity, and realizing that there's a good deal of white privilege in our culture. And so our field had responded to that shift as well. And now we talk about culturally competent therapists. So after we talk about these rather well-known paradigm shifts in the field, we go on to talk about marriage and what we call TUM, the traditionally unquestioned marriage. And what we mean by that is several assumptions that are built into marriage that are rarely questioned. So, backing up a bit, this talk comes out of 10 years of working in intensive couples therapy at Couples on the Brink. And we learned it's easy for people to be distressed, it's easy for people in distressed relationships to appear pathological. At least one partner in most distressed relationships is considering divorce or splitting up. Affairs are common, pathway to the brink. Romantic love fades, and getting to the brink is inevitable. So with that, we said, well, what aspects of marriage are being challenged by the couples that we see that are struggling to stay together? And we're encouraging the participants in our presentation to consider, does the current version of marriage support individuals in our culture? And as marriage and family therapists, to what extent should we have a voice in shaping cultural perceptions about marriage and provide clients with options, flexibility, and variations for relational partnering and marriage? So as I said, then we go through some of those historical shifts in MFT. And then we want to recognize that marriage is in the spotlight right now. With marriage equality, a big part of our field as marriage and family therapists is part of the cultural discourse now. And so we're arguing that should we be able to talk with our clients at various points where clients present to us in therapy about some of the assumptions in marriage that may or may not work for everybody. And the three assumptions that we have pulled out, skipping to that slide, are till death do us part is one assumption that most people hold when they are getting married. They get married with the idea that love is the foundation, with romantic purposes or intentions, and that the relationship is going to be monogamous. And these are the exact three things that people, when they're crashing as a couple, the ones we see at Couples on the Brink, are challenged by these three assumptions about marriage. And so we are arguing that as therapists, should we be talking with people about those assumptions and examining them and posing questions about whether or not those assumptions still fit for them and still fit for them going forward in the marriage that they want. And so we're really careful to say we don't want to impose onto couples questioning these assumptions, but we do want to pose those questions. So much like if a couple was in a very traditional male-dominated relationship, the feminists argue that we shouldn't impose a new paradigm onto them, but we should ask questions about power dynamics, and we should ask questions about roles of men and women, and at least have people choose that more consciously if they're going to continue choosing it. So we're arguing the same thing. We're saying if you're going to continue in this relationship or in any relationship, do you want to more consciously choose some of these assumptions that I think most of us in our culture just kind of go along and accept? And so that's sort of the brief overview, nuts and bolts of what we're talking about. I hope it didn't come out as too much of a hodgepodge, and I value the opportunity to share some of this with you because it's very topical and it's sort of on the cutting edge as we're presenting this to a group of our colleagues this weekend. So I will be in the course room while I'm away. I will be back on Monday. So I can respond to things periodically as I am away. If you want to just post a response that you were able to view this video and maybe one or two things that it sparked in you. Okay, great. I'll see you in Unit 9.